Hey, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to come and share their work. Excuse me, yeah, let's just get into this thing. So, Eris is up first. And Eris, you're going to be reading a poem that was published on XPAD?
Yeah, this is like in 2000, this is from 2019. Yeah. All it takes to be complete is to exist. October 2nd, 2019. The totality of reckoning is instant now, consummate awake forever. Transcendental loneliness startles the cusp of the moment, should I post the link or do you have it?
I think I shared the link already, didn't I? Yes.
Okay,
Oh, no,
right
I
on.
sent it to the waiting room participants. My bad.
All
There
good.
you go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I mean it's for like everyone else who blah, 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 blah. Startles the cusp of the moment, brings a wary look of seeming before acting, knowing before understanding, and understanding. It's now and it's alone and it's always. Do you know shatters like glass, growing pains and breakthroughs? So let me be my hister, let me have my time, a kind of necessary, only consequential madness. Let me go, swallow my hypnotics. Let me lie down with my knife, heartbeat transfigure. The patter is slow, I drag along. A life of wrongness because life is wrong. A wholesome inertia of coldness clear, and we all have insides, which are our escapes. We all have minds, which we were made to change and throw away. Bodies neglect to damage the life we suppose. But we can't, knowing less. I sing the wind, living for free, living for nothing. And the mystery I realize everything is its own explanation only. Unlettered metaphysics in the dark, with insight like a star shooting through the shadow, like a blast of hot water in the face. Stricken, I throw open the window and feel remorse, as if I were God. I look at the sky, my body stares back, but I remain where I am. And all I need is as far away, together with the salty smell of readiness and the gable beginning of motion, of turning dance without a dancer, design of the universe, or dizzy beginning of time, endless before my sentence, tracing the arc of days I've come. To run where the sun rises, to catch up with it where it lands, and stay the night, to live the whole through. Chew on faulty regret, fingertips of perhaps, and an afterwards slow walking of thoughts, the feeling arrest like afterthoughts, migraines of yesterday scarred today. It's important to remember how to content yourself distantly, to be of no use to anyone, to appreciate life only where it exceeds to the senses. Reason is light, sound, memory, noise is hurt, intelligence stings even as touch is revelation, sharp and hard and sudden. And the body itself but a slow to last meeting, the soul an eternal teething, old gnashing of desire, bloody grind of nothing against the something that shouldn't be. The only way out is to eroticize everything, make grief galactic, it's my favorite line, but I always fuck it up. Make grief gelastic, the creepy glorious, fear fantastic. The only way to out pretend, fuck you, what the fuck is happening? Leave me. The only way to out pretend, pretending that his life is to outgrow it, not by accepting or negating, but sublimating, transmuting. Maturity is what you call psychotic. The only way to make sense of life is to elect not to live, even as you dress for the wrong reason or the wrong season, make funny faces and bang your fists. Life is an obsessive compulsive disorder. Lately, I found a new look in my eyes. It's kind of infectious, kind of dangerous, kind of frozen, haunted, painted on. I notice it in reflections. And in the reflected stare of other people, it's like sadness, but without despondency, a kind of incredulity, complicated, a vague dismay. And I pushed away from life as from a meal I've already enjoyed too much. I still my blood, follow down bed. My heart doesn't know where it's been. Okay, thank you. Sorry for swearing.
That's fine. First of all, Eris, I'm sorry you got interrupted there, but
That's
this is a
nothing. It's
fantastic.
music. I deserve it for interrupting you all these times.
No. You're on stage now. So really I'm interrupting you, but no, this is a fantastic poem. You know, I'm always caught off guard when you read because I never know what the fuck to expect. Every one of your pieces is so stylistically different. Like I would never have guessed that you would write like, this is a really like haunting existential poem, right? And in terms of like content and structure and language, so very different from some of the other stuff you presented here, but really effective. There are so many like really amazing like turns of phrase in here, you know, like what's the, I'm sorry, I'm looking. Nope, there's too many things for, oh, wholesome inertia. I love the phrase wholesome inertia. And that like the bloody grind of nothing against a something that shouldn't be. That is like such a perfect encapsulation of like cognitive dissonance and like psychological pain, right? Because it's not just a sense of like, you know, I'm sorry, it's not just a sense of like having conflicted thoughts, but having a vacuum that's grinding against an unpleasant situation, right? And it's such a perfect.
Whoa, you said that way better than I did. I love that.
No, you said it really well in the poem. I'm just like telling you like
No, but
how
I love
effective.
that. No, as soon as you said cognitive dissonance, I was like, yeah.
But yeah, Eris, it was a fantastic poem, is what I'm trying to say. And hopefully the trolls who I think are still here will behave themselves moving forward. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome, and there's a line in there I always wanted to highlight.
Esteban knows I'm half Colombian, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate how the avatar was dancing in time with the music. That was really cool. But there was a line in there, everything is its own explanation only. Fuck yeah, that's a good line.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. Hey man, no judging at all, but
I do math. Leave me alone.
no, that's awesome, man. Count me in. What's it called? Why is there? What's up with Hitler in this? Like, there's a guy named Adolf. Olivia's last name is Hitler, and Esteban's PFP was Hitler. Man, I'm not judging, man. Like, maybe he just meant past the Jews.
Not judging.
Like, you know what I mean? He could have just meant past the Jews. Like, he was just misunderstood, man. Like, I got no problem with him, man. Like, have you guys seen his paintings? Like, they're fucking like amazing.
No, they're not. They're really not.
Okay, who are you to judge his artwork? You know what I mean?
Me.
I mean, you want me to judge that poem?
Douglas, I've got a homework assignment for you, Douglas. Come back next week with a poem about Hitler's paintings, and you can read it here for sure. And we'll respond.
And tell us about the AA meetings you crashed. Write a poem about that.
Yeah. Or even just about how Hitler was cool or something. Like, I don't know, some issue like.
I mean, he is. Like, I don't think I need to explain it.
Whatever you want to do, just like read it.
No, but seriously though, is Olivia's last name really Hitler? Because like I'm jealous.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a joke. Oh. Anyway, we're moving on here. So, Michael.
Yeah, I'm just gonna gas my way out of here real quick.
Bye.
That was very inspirational, man. Godspeed.
Godspeed. He got his hand up and everything. Damn.
Probably the most respectful troll I think I've ever encountered, you know.
Definitely up there.
Cool. Let me just share my thing. Cool, this copy should work. Cool. All right, so I wrote this week. Apologies if there are any typos. Yeah, it's called Disposals. I got a call from Davis on a Saturday last summer, that merciless one in New York. Davis said he would pick me up around noon because he was working through some things and needed a hand. When I asked what that meant, a little quiet scratched into the connection between our phones before Davis ended the call. I stayed in bed. The air conditioner rattled like a rat inside was trying to escape. It was dying. I knew it was dying, but I didn't want to do anything about it. I preferred to stay in the bed and watch the air conditioner slowly fall apart, maybe tumble from the window and smash against the sidewalk. Obliterated, a flourish of metal. After dozing for a while, I slid out of bed, got dressed, went outside and sat on the stoop, watched some kids build a shelter for the feral kittens on our block. They taped cardboard boxes together and cut out the undersides of a pair of plastic jugs to fill it with water and kibble. Use an old blanket for bedding. Then I heard Davis in his four-door shit kicker SUV. You could hear it coming from a few blocks away. Rust chewed the truck like the bites of dead teeth. Whimpering engine. When I opened the door, a heavy trash bag fell to the ground. Zach, Davis said to me, grab that shit and get in. I took the bag and climbed up into the seat and rested the bag on my legs. We passed through the neighborhood and didn't say anything. I thought about the mysteries surrounding our drive. See, Davis was the only guy in the city I knew who drove. I never understood how people put up with it. The city was always enough to make you feel anxious and dangerous and alive on foot. Davis worked at 4 different bars, and I only ever saw him in the daytime. Those days, most of my friends had left the city by that point, so Davis was one of the few people I really knew, and thus I felt a sense of heightened loyalty to whatever problems befell him, a former friend of a friend turned friend. We inched through dense Brooklyn traffic. I rolled the window down and a hot, tepid wind limped inside. So, what are we doing? I asked. Driving, said Davis. No, like, what are we doing? You said you needed some help. Oh, yeah, I gotta bring this somewhere. Davis patted the trash bag with his free hand. He never drove with both hands. Anywhere in particular? You'll see. I unknotted the trash bag. Inside, I found a big cluster of wired phone chargers, high school baseball trophies, a few pairs of muddied sneakers, a laptop with a broken screen, several unopened packs of playing cards, exercise shorts with the tag still attached, an abridged copy of Moby Dick. Davis took us to the industrial outskirts of Brooklyn. Potholes haunted streets walled by shipping trucks. For lease signs lurked in dirty windows. The East River was close, and I smelled the wind coming in from the water. The streets were busy. The city's interior is too hot to contain its people. We pulled up to an intersection beneath the highway and waited at a red light. Pass me the bag, said Davis. I pushed the bag over the console. The stoplight turned green, and as Davis gunned it forward, he squeezed the trash bag through his open window. I twisted around to watch the bag through the back windows. The open bag flipped over and spilled across the intersection. Trophies bounced and hid in potholes. Moby Dick caught the wheel of a car behind us, and its pages spread apart like a battered flock of birds. Davis banged a left, and we sped beneath the highway's bombinations. As he drove, he smacked the roof of the truck with his fist and hooted. Eyes aflame like a hysterical demon. I felt jealous. Then Davis lit a cigarette, passed it to me, and lit another for himself. Let go of the past, he said. What? Right out the window. No sense tugging shit around with you. Is that why you litter trash at an intersection? Davis laughed a cloud of smoke. Then he said, all that stuff, I can't just toss it in the garbage outside my place. I go looking for it again. So I needed a big... So I needed a big messy break. I'm jealous, I said. Then try it. Let's grab some shit of yours and do some illegal dumping. Fuck it. Let's go, I said. That's the goddamn spirit, said Davis. Davis drove back to my place, and together we went inside and climbed the stairs to my apartment. My roommates were out somewhere. I went into the kitchen and took one of the trash bags from the box beneath the sink and then walked into my bedroom. Davis was already in there and searching through my closet. He grabbed a trash bag and held it out to me. What's in this? He asked. Old clothes, don't fit, I said. Why keep them? Well, for when I lose weight and I can fit in them, I guess. Davis pressed the bag into my hands. This is a good start. Davis watched me as I scoured my room for other things to grab. My old high school yearbook, a copy of Monopoly missing the dice in hotels, a 5-pound dumbbell collecting dust by the door. Each one we stuffed into the trash bag. What about this? Davis asked. He stood next to my bookshelf, held out a small ring made of dark metal, tungsten, my old wedding band. That's my wedding ring, I said. You married? I was. He placed the ring in my hand. I'd worn it around for a few months after the divorce until I felt like I'd cried enough. 2 years had passed and the ring lived between the various books on my shelf. Add the ring, Davis said. You shouldn't carry something this heavy around. Yeah, I said. Back in Davis's truck, we hooked south toward the ocean. Late afternoon, but the sidewalks still shine with sunglasses, sweat-faced families, sun-speared food carts. A few mask wearers, but not as many as there were in the spring. Davis fished a couple warm beers from the floor behind his seat. Mine tasted spoiled, but I kept drinking, relaxed. The weight of the bag in my lap receded a little. I thought about the things I was going to let go somewhere, a half involuntary moving on. I wondered if this was the start of something bigger, career change, a new love life. Maybe I'd leave the city for good. All right, it's time, said Davis. I looked around us. The sidewalks were packed. The spot seems really busy, I said. That's the point, said Davis. It only works if you know others are watching. I still had the wedding band in my hand. Hadn't held it in a while. I wondered what my ex-wife was doing at that moment, if she was happy, if the fundamental differences between us that weaponized the fights, triggered the split, resigned us to one last ceremonial hug outside the courthouse still mattered to her, if they mattered to me. They do, I said aloud. Huh? Davis said. The traffic light turned green. Davis hit the gas and the truck jumped forward. I shoved the trash bag through the window. Davis roared and twisted the wheel rightward, shrieked out of the intersection. In the mirror, I watched Monopoly money found behind us. Shouts and laughter poured through the open window. Somebody yelled for us to stop, but Davis kept speeding, dashed past stoplights, bounced across speed bumps. My heart chattered like a nervous house guest. We blasted through a yellow light and whipped past signs for the highway. Fuck yeah, cried Davis. He pounded the roof. Then he asked, how do you feel? Good, I said. Really good, actually. That's the spirit. I could do some more. More dumping? Sure, I can throw you some gas money. All right, why not? See, this is why you need a friend for this. Everyone is working through some shit these days, no matter how alone you feel. Then Davis turned to look behind us. Fuck, is that a cop? He asked. I turned and looked at the rear windshield. Dense traffic gnarled a police cruiser behind us. Lights kaleidoscoping, but nobody gave a damn. We left him in the dust as the East River glowed on our left, set aflame by the kneeling sun. Back at my place, I scoured my room for more mementos to ditch. Nothing seemed fitting, momentous enough. Then I looked at the air conditioner. I'd lugged the damn thing around since I moved to New York in exile. Scored on a street corner because I was too cheap to pay for cool, clean air. This right here, I said to Davis. Excitement dogged my voice and I felt out of breath. You sure? It's kind of big. Yeah, fuck this thing. I'm ready to move on. Davis laughed. All right, man, he said. We hauled the air conditioner out of the window and with careful steps lugged the thing down the steps and out to the truck. I climbed into my seat and Davis placed the air conditioner on my legs. Some bent and sharp part of it dug into my leg, but I didn't care. I grinned as we drove beneath the cusp of evening. Music bombasted us from street corner speakers. Grills bellowed glorious aromas outside barbecue joints. 1,000 first date Saturdays bloomed. We queued in line at an intersection with one of Brooklyn's big bloody arteries. This is the spot, said Davis. Are you ready? I am, I said. I really was. I gripped the base of the air conditioner. I felt inhuman strength coiling in my hands, like fresh lava flowed through my veins. Davis hit the gas and we dashed into the intersection. I hoisted the air conditioner and pushed through the window. As it fell from my hands, I saw the two cops beside their cruiser, made eye contact with one, shouted Davis's name, and he looked too, and in a moment of holy terror, jerked the wheel in the wrong direction and drove over the air conditioner as it exploded on the pavement. The metal interior speared the truck's rear tire, and I felt it explode and die. The air conditioner's remains howled beneath us. Davis kept driving, but the truck was mortally wounded. Blue lights filled the truck's interior as we lost speed, took refuge on the side of the road. Everyone watched and the trains kept grinding overhead. Davis and I left the police station with a pair of summonses for illegal dumping. We each faced thousands of dollars in fines. I ordered a ride back to my place. One of his roommates was going to meet us, but they weren't there when we arrived, so we sat on my stoop and smoked 2 of Davis's cigarettes. You never tossed the ring, said Davis. I took the ring from my pocket and held it out. Nope, I said. Give it to me. Why? I'll take it with me. Free yourself of the real burden. This ain't no air conditioner, Davis said. You're leaving? Yeah, fuck this shit, Davis said, waving his summons in the air. I got more important shit to do. A life to live. Exactly. I don't need a car to get somewhere. I'll just walk, crawl if I have to. Walk or crawl until something stops me. That sounds nice. You're gonna stay and fight this? I don't know. Fuck them. All we did was put some shit behind us. Across the street, the neighborhood kids fed some kittens in the homemade shelter. The kittens mewed and licked at their food and water. When Davis's roommate pulled up, I gave him the ring. We shook hands and let our connection linger. When he was gone, I went inside up to my apartment, into my room. The window blind shivered in the night breeze. My room was cooler than it had been in weeks, like it had come back to life. I watched the stars multiply. Flies rode the air current through the window and hid in the corners near long abandoned spider webs. Then I crossed the room and took my backpack from the closet, stuffed it full with clean laundry, the wad of cash from my sock drawer, a small jar of weed and a pack of papers, and my only working phone charger. I scribbled an apology to my roommates in my notebook, ripped the page out and taped it to my door. I wasn't sure if my salvage was enough. There wasn't much left, only the remains of a boxed up life I'd drug and slept inside for weeks. I decided to keep the window open so the wind would scour my stench. Then I departed in a great and solemn hurry, me a phantom, but a phantom of my own choosing, slamming door after door behind me as I fled.
Holy shit, the Twitch mod knows how to tell a story good. You make me feel illiterate, man.
I
job.
agree. Like, well, every
Fuck
time
yeah.
you make me feel illiterate. But man, this is a
No,
fucking
like I'm serious. Like I can't even read like 2 sentences without like stopping. It's kind of a problem.
so look, this is a fantastically constructed short story though. And you just wrote this, right? You were saying
Yeah, in the last couple days.
that's remarkable because this feels like very finished in a way. This feels very complete. You know, just because like from the first paragraph to the last paragraph, there's such a clear through line to this piece, right? And nothing feels superfluous, nothing feels unnecessary. I love how even before we know what the story is going to be about, you're describing the air conditioner and filling that description of the air conditioner with so much like obviously fraught emotional significance and meaning and ugliness and like because you do that, we're very prepared for the significance that all this trash takes on later in the story, right? Because the first thing we see in the fucking story is a rusted old piece of trash, right? That's given incredible emotional significance. We're very prepared for like the dumping that takes place afterwards and the emotional significance of leaving that stuff behind, right? And I love that. I love like because the symbolic level or whatever the story doesn't like arrive suddenly, doesn't feel like tacked on or pat or anything. It feels like such a natural evolution of the like very state of mind that the narrator has even at the beginning of the story. It's so like compact and complete and self-contained. And I think it's done is what I'm saying. I think it's ready.
Thank you. I really appreciate those thoughts.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with McLovin. It's really nice.
All I'll say is that this was inspired by kind of a real incident where I was walking down the street. This was maybe like a month or two ago. And I was just sort of waiting across the street and some guy drove through an intersection and just like crammed a trash bag out of his window and just like drove away. And like it got caught under his wheel and like it just ripped the bag open. And I've just been trying to do something with that image ever since. And so this story came out of that. But yeah, it was probably one of the most hilarious things I've seen here in the city. It's like, why would you do that? Like there are trash
Right.
cans everywhere. So
Right. No,
Wait,
you
what's
just
your
know there's a
address?
whole like pathological like psychology behind doing that, right? And you really capture that here. Like you turn it
and he
into
drove a really nice car too. Like it was just the whole scene like made no sense. Like the character in this story has a shit kicker, but that guy drove like a nice car and he was doing this.
man. That's gotta be like some sociopathic shit. That guy has to be like
Right.
a serial dumper instead of a serial killer, right?
Wait, so what was the story about?
All right.
Illegal dumping. How you
Oh.
shouldn't do it. Yeah. It's big.
To be honest with you, I didn't really pay attention to it most, but I kept hearing the word phone chargers. What was that about?
Okay, man. I'm gonna have to ask you to take it down a notch because
I'm sorry, William.
no, that's okay. That's
I didn't
okay.
offend
But
you. Sorry, Michael.
It's all good. I'm glad you enjoyed the story, Douglas or Kristen. Not sure what to call you, Christine. Anyway,
Christine, there we go.
thank you for your thoughts, William. I really appreciate that.
No, thank you. I think, like I said, it feels done to me. It feels ready to just send out into the world. I feel like Rudy was about to say something though, and I might have stepped on that. Were you?
Oh no, I was gonna say it reminds me very much of the Malone dump situation where it's kind of a free for all, and you might get there with your vehicle in one piece, or you might not. So There's that. Yeah, the dump's like all the way on the other side of town near the prison, and fucking the road's really bad, and like just the shit. The part where the radiator for the AC fell out and like fucked the guy's car up. Like I think I've seen shit like that happen. Like just debris like coming out of a pickup truck that's over the side, and another car will hit it or fucking whatever. It's
That's
wild.
spectacular.
The imagery was really true to life. I'd say it was
Thank
really.
you. You gotta wonder if like the younger generations experience the dump the way that like maybe some of the
Right.
like older generations did. Like I know like my
Yo,
father,
no, we don't.
my father is like a lifelong trash picker. So like going to the dump was
Yeah.
like didn't happen every weekend, but it happened enough where I remember different dumps that we went to.
Yo,
Yeah.
as a kid of the new generation, like you just said, or whatever you said, we don't fucking know that even is like a thing.
Got a
Like we don't
trash
even know
pick,
that
you guys gotta
exists,
go
man.
rooting
Yeah.
through the garbage. Like you see a good
Yeah,
dumpster,
no,
just
like
climb in
that's
there.
not a thing.
Yeah, you're missing
we don't
out,
even know
buddy.
that.
You're really missing out.
It's
Missing
Oh,
out.
shit,
You're definitely
man.
missing out on tetanus. That's the thing.
Oh man.
All right. So we should do a
Wait,
collection.
I thought I was
of
getting
trash.
tetanus with the shots.
I would love, like, Rudy, you should write a story about going to the Malone dump, and we should just put out a misery tourism like anthology that's literally just about like trash. All right, okay. So Keko is up next. And I
Go
saw
Keko.
he just made it in.
Yeah, can I go
Hey.
like a couple of guys later or something?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
I-
Are you
I-
okay? You got up at 2 a.m. to do this, you were saying?
well, not actually. I got up 10 minutes ago, so I just need
Yeah.
like,
You know what? I'll
yeah.
move you to the end and you can go last. You should have some time to like wake
I
up.
love you, Keko.
Right.
Thanks.
So Colton's up next then.
Yay, let's go, Colton.
All right. I'm gonna do two pieces, and they're kind of 4chan inspired. One is gonna be a shit story, like describing shitting yourself, and the other one is just a really inappropriate little poem.
Oh, it's about
Uh,
gassing the Jews.
Douglas, I will dox you so motherfucking fast. Shut the fuck up.
All right. This first poem I'm gonna read is called "Pleasure Intramurals," which is a play on Pain Olympics. Mature German wife with fat pussy fucked hard. British babes
Oh my
farting and
fuck.
face sitting compilation. Rough hardcore anal gangbang feet emo Asian slut. Hairy big tit Italian stepmom fucks Roma stepson. Parisian maid wants to be your horny cum slut. Stunning Mexican babe loves to swallow Spanish jizz. French mother pimps out her Algerian puke slut daughter. Fingernails ripped in half. Sliced eyes leak aqueous humor fluid. Wrists are pierced and hung up by bent nails tied to ceiling string. Big toes gripped and ripped sideways. Both hallexes snapped in half. Hammer cracks open patella. Knee socket turned inside out. Loose hair caught in escalator gears. Scalp stretching. Loud screaming. Leather hands pry jaws open. White teeth meet knife's blade. Asshole fingering leads to anal prolapse, gaping speculum consequence. Exposed scrotum cut open, testicles fed into a nearby meat grinder. Desperate college teen deep throats big MILF girl cock. Skinny white dicks line up for small Barbie pussy. No escape from BBW's thick, creamy coconut cunt. Poolside orgy, LA twinks with throbbing dicks leaking cum. Titty fucking and rim jobs are better than doing taxes. Fucking his ass pussy while he speed runs Dark Souls. Nasty throat angel, intense face fucking with biggest BBC. This next line is also Gigi Rowland and I had a conversation about Helen Keller like a long time ago, so I just wanted to provide that little back info. Helen Keller uses her predator vision to stalk her next victim. Army of fascist retards demand Queen Elizabeth be hung by the neck. I shave off my pubes and donate them to bald kids with cancer. VTuber anime girl wants to be completely covered in senpai poo-poo. Spelling bee contestants are kidnapped by radical extremists. Their beheading and torso explosion video goes viral on Pornhub. All right, I gotta prepare for this next line. Suck my fucking dick, you faggot. Go fucking kill yourself. No, I don't give a fuck what you say, you retarded bitch. Go out to a pawn shop, buy a gun, some bullets, and kill yourself. You are fucking garbage. You are a waste of human life. I have never played this game with someone so clueless in my entire life. You fucking suck. You're fucking dumb as fuck. Go jump off a fucking bridge. You are absolute fucking trash. Suck my dick. Suck my dick. No, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. No. Fuck you. Fuck you. Die. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. So that's the first poem. And this next one here, this is the 4chan shit story. It's like 850 words. I'll try and be quick. This is called, it's a loose title, but it's prepubescent butt stuff. Be me in first grade, wearing new pair of pants that my mom bought for me at the mall. Dark blue pleated denim jeans. Feels good, man. .jpg. Showing off my new jeans to my crush in class. All my friends are jelly as hell. Bell rings. Time for lunch. It's Sloppy Joe day. Didn't eat breakfast. I eat 5 Sloppy Joe sandwiches before going out to recess. Soon I'm running around the playground playing freeze tag. I'm chasing my best friend when something shifts around in my gut. Stop dead in my tracks. Sweat starts collecting on my forehead. Hear something coming from my stomach. It's a rumbling noise that echoes into space. Sounds like a blue whale calling out to his ancestors. My tummy starts cramping up. Realize the sloppy joes are assembling in my large intestines, hardly even digested. My butt cheeks quickly clench together like an impenetrable stone castle door. It's poo-poo time, whether I like it or not. Bell is about to ring. I speed wobble inside, dodging the teachers in the hall. I'm not going to shit myself. I'm not going to shit myself. I'm not going to shit myself. Slam against the bathroom door and pull myself in. That was too close. Take a deep breath, reach down to unzip my jeans. Uh-oh. I can't pull the zipper down. Fuck. I'm tugging at my pants, praying that I don't ruin my new jeans. Sloppy stool is slamming against my rectum. Feels like a SWAT team's battering ram is smacking against my asshole. There's about to be a shit tsunami in my underwear. Sigh. I make the walk of shame into the empty handicap stall. I lock the door behind me. I accept my fate. Knowing this will be a traumatic experience, I get on my knees, close my eyes, and let my life flash before my eyes while spacing out into the toilet. I think about the times when I used to go fishing with my dad, when I used to hide from my mom in the hardware store, when I fell out of my crib that one time. Yeah, those were the good days. My anus retracts. Oh, sweet Mary and Joseph, dear Lord in heaven, watching his only son, Jesus Christ, being nailed to the cross and crucified for my sins, have mercy. Liquid Sloppy Joe immediately shoots out of my ass like water from a high-pressure fire hose. My butt cheeks are immediately drenched in a volcanic eruption of molten dookie lava. I've never experienced such a force being exercised from my bowels. Tears streaming down my face. My tiny boy hole can't handle this much longer. Little Sloppy Joe chunks are shooting through my underwear and leaking down into my shoes. Can't stop thinking about the ass beating I will receive at home. No one can hear me as I scream into the toilet. Soon the onslaught subsides. The rapid fire assault rifle fart sounds and anal leaking come to a halt. A ceasefire. Allah be praised. I reach for the toilet paper. All of a sudden, my stomach makes a reloading sound. Ay, Dios mío. I grab the handicap handles and prepare for the secondary shockwave. Before I can black out, liquid duty shoots down my smooth prepubescent legs. Small turds also launch out of my asshole like NASA satellites. The power of this intense sphincter explosion triggers my flight or fight response. I'm suddenly unable to control my bladder. I'm pissing my pants with unbridled vigor. PP leaks out of my zipper and front pockets, starts mixing into the puddle of diarrhea on the floor. After all the urine exits, my anal canal closes. It's over. It's finally over. The sun's rays enter through the bathroom window. I can find peace now. gathering as much toilet paper as I can when the door opens. It's the handicapped kid. Are you fucking my shit-stained ass right now? .png. He rolls in slowly. I hear him sniffing the air. What is that smell? Before he can finish, he rolls into the fluid puddle consisting of my liquid butt doo-doo, my peener juice, and my tears. The kid shrieks and projectile vomits into the fluid puddle. Some of the vomit ricochets onto my jeans. At this point, my mind is suspended from my body. I feel absolutely nothing. Handicapped kid immediately starts crying, rolls out of the bathroom faster than Dale Earnhardt Jr. He tells the teacher what happened. Teacher pokes her head into the bathroom, gags, and then tells me she's already called my parents. I wish I was an abortion.gif. Sit there like a man on death row, praying for a school shooter. Bathroom is guarded by my teacher and the principal until my parents arrive. Mom brings in a new change of clothes. Dad has to use a knife to cut off my jeans. I have to wash myself off in the bathroom sink. The bathroom is closed off for the entire day. Whole school finds out. Handicapped kid starts bullying me now. How's it going, poopy pants? Yeah, that's it.
That was fucking incredible. Oh my fuck! I was so into it the whole time. You had my attention. Just I was there, and like, cause everyone can relate, but like the way, like you wrote it, it was just like, what made me think, why didn't I ever write about that time, but like, just that was an adventure.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Eris.
Okay,
William.
So Colton, first of all, amazingly, I think this is the first time anyone has ever read a 4chan green text style story on Misery Loves Company, which is shocking to me because when you said that, I was like, holy shit, nobody's done this here before. And that in and of itself is amazing. But let me say, you have elevated the green text to a real fucking art form. And what you've done here is remarkable because at no point does the not illusion, but yeah, the illusion, at no point does the illusion break, right? At no point do you get too flowery or too prosaic or too like, at no point do you start to feel like, oh, here's someone reading a short story, right? This is a short story. You always stick rigidly and beautifully to the cadence of one of those 4chan green text posts, right? You can feel the line breaks. And yet, this is so much more lavish and and fucking awful. And in the way it keeps escalating and escalating and escalating without ever breaking that voice, right? You can feel that the voice is intact, but it gets more and more terrible with each and every line. It's just, oh my God, the like praying for a school shooting moment is just so,
What?
oh my gosh. And
Hey, man.
Christine, you missed
Yo,
an amazing story.
I know. I
you
wish I
just
didn't
say.
talk, man. I was just kind of snarfled by the first
Okay.
words.
I've
Adolf
let you back
Hitler.
in, but you missed.
Thank you, man. I appreciate. I wish,
missed
man.
the
You
story
talk
about a dude shitting
cunt
himself
clit,
in the
big
in the
boobies,
school
like in the
bathroom.
first.
But I have to
all I
ask
heard was,
you, dude, you
I'm
need
sorry,
to
man.
like not. You need to not
Okay.
talk while people are reading. Okay.
I'm so sorry, man. I was kind of just baffled by pussy cunt clit, big booby Swedish girl. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I
Put
was
it in
kind
the
of
chat.
baffled.
The chat is there for a reason. Whatever you want. If you
I'm
have a
so sorry,
response
man.
while somebody's reading, just put it in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm not angry, but we got it. We
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know what I
people do wanna read
expected from
their shit,
Adolf.
right? So Colton, but
This stuff.
I do want to talk about the poem that you opened with too, which I the green text bit was so enthralling that I almost forgot about it. But oh my God, I that poem is like the worst parts of the internet being fed into your brain by a machine gun, right? And I love how it like starts, you're like, okay, this is basically like Pornhub like titles. And you're like, okay, that's Okay, I get it. I get it. And then like they become more and more grotesque and more ugly and more nasty. And then like you get the other even uglier parts of the internet. You get like the live leak stuff seeping in too. And it's so good. It's like it makes you realize just like how how thoroughly traumatized we've all been by a lifetime on the internet. But anyway, those are two fantastic pieces. Thank you, Colton.
Awesome. Thank you so much, William. Also, I just have to say the shit story. It's the true story is when I was a kid, I did have my mom got me a new pair of jeans and I could not get them off, but I just
Oh,
pissed
no.
myself.
Oh, okay.
And so everyone was like, wow, did your jeans get darker? And I was like, yeah, yeah.
Oh god.
But yeah, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Colton. So Dan is up next.
Hello, do you want the link?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. This first poem, these are all written like years and years ago, and I just found them because I haven't been writing much, but this first poem is called Poison. Looking for the right word to describe this girl who wants me to suck the poison off her tongue. Owls wait outside her window as she blows kisses to the dying world from her bedroom window. Close your eyes and see red lights, red carpet, pink lipstick on the mirror. West Coast spirit shining out her eyes, manifesting bondage to keep it under control with her grandmother packing away the basket case for carrying flowers that don't grow in the soil anymore. May as well be a prisoner, this cage or crib with riot gas seeping through the bars. I'm tearing up at her song. It's a lullaby I don't wake from. I'm afraid to call her by name, so it's kennings for her. Witch muse, soul vamp, brood siren. This one's called Carrion. Nobody wants to hear truth. Fewer want you to tell it. Jesus spoke, and look what good it did him. Tell him lies coated in vanilla icing. Spin tales to leave them dizzy. The truth is a spike through the wrist. Walk through the city and see human raccoons and crows digging through carrion, screaming about aliens and illusion. Trash cans are the last relief for the unwavering truth teller. This one's called Analgesia or Gesia. Is this how it ends? Watching your ass with giggles, the Skype window, scissor lines across your thighs, wishing to die, like all your friends, clenching your teeth until they snap at the roots. This one's called Sex and Death. Cock clockwise swiping Tinder like a panther paw. Male predation, age of abundance, the last sword through the neck of tradition. Hidden love on the low, and certainly not free anymore. Order me like pizzas, spend the night, written in neon above my bedroom door, like hangover sands, alcohol is emptiness. Whenever I'm in a car speeding down the highway, there's a spiritual impulse to throw my cell phone out the window and be done with it forever. Little pocket surveillance device, motherboard, waterboards, empathy. Startup splash screen sound, dirge for the spirit. When will we leave our bodies and just become binary? No longer breathing, eating, shitting, fucking animals, but a blinking LED. The youth will run great solar farms for our lives and carbon fiber veins. Orphans. My father and mother are electrons now. When I grow up, I wish to be a byte. Calm down, my friend says. Settle down. Get a grip. Others, it's a trap. Too easy. Swipe right. Venus fly. Swipe left, and some other chump will leave you hanging on the edge. We do this like a flash mob. Libido like cluster bombs. The air smells like singed flesh when we waddle to the shower. Sex and death, fucking and murder. The older contemplative, mature scribbling. Politics is for the impotent. Philosophy for the dull. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. I'm alive with napalm pills. Pop my pimples while I sleep. Looking to spice it up. Make a FetLife account and buy a cock ring. I'm frustrated with everything the lady girl sings when I keep untrustworthy hours. She makes it hard to love. She'll etch her initials onto your heart and then leave. One's called Mithridates. Mithridates VI had the right idea. I'll eat your poison every day to know the taste of your violence, but never succumb to it. That's it.
These are fantastic, Dan. These are really good. You know, I've known for a while that you're a great prose writer, right? But it's only over the course of the last few weeks that you really like showed us what a fantastic poet you are too. These poems are so fucking good because like the way that they like weave in like genre elements, right? Like a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of cyberpunk, a little bit of fantasy and history without ever becoming like genre poems, right? These are poems are still so centered in like the experience of being human, of like troubled human relationships, right? Like you said, I love that you title one Sex and Death, you know, like those two like fundamental things, fundamental unchanging things, even though that poem is so much about like contemporary fear and contemporary malaise and like being haunted by your technology, having a surveillance device in your pocket. I don't know. I love how like all of that contemporary stuff is so like deeply rooted in these universal themes that poetry is always chasing after. These are good fucking pieces, is what I'm saying.
Thanks. The sex and death thing comes from like a literature professor I had who mentioned it as like the main focus of pretty much all modernist and postmodernist literature was just the tension between human beings, between the sex drive and the death drive. And it's kind of been my obsession for a long time too.
Yeah,
What
no,
better things to be obsessed with? Fuck yeah.
Good shit, Daniel.
yeah.
Definitely.
Is that was that it? Was that all you had to say, Christine? Because you can like if you have something to say after the person reads, as long as it's relatively polite, you can do that, right?
Oh yeah. No,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome.
Good job,
Uh,
Daniel.
s- Sex and Death is my favorite one, and that one, there's a line in there: "Order me like pizzas."
Yes, I love that one too.
That line just captures so much of like, it feels like Gibson and like also like, you know, like just like Shadowrun or some kind of like just the idea of like modern living, like the corporate like hellscape versus, you know, like, you know, eating food and being happy and, you know, chilling. It just that captures that all in one line. It's just so simple and so elegant, so good. I love it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic line. Thank you, Daniel. Gianluca's up next.
Oh, sick. Dope. All right, yeah. This one, I don't know if this one will be like as crazy necessarily, but yeah. Oh, dope. You got the Google Docs. Okay. This one is called Ludic Reality and the Perfection of the Holocaust Comedy. So let's go.
It was already perfect, man.
I think I'll just read off the Word document I have here. Okay. It does not take great observational skill to note that Western animation and video games are in a dire artistic state. One look at the quote-unquote cartoon community reveals a group that is married to the output of a select few companies rather than reveling in diverse output like the film community at its best. Part of this is the difficulty of animation. It is less feasible to make an animated film on an entirely independent basis than to make a live action film similarly without company backing. It seems there can be no modern equivalent to the no-wave punk style of filmmaking apart from the slight shitposts on the internet. Shoddiness in regards to animation is rejected instantly, although there are thankfully cult followings developing around such works of outsider art as QT World Fearless I Am. That's not to diminish animated works developed largely by one person, e.g. Joni Phillips's Barbara Westchester or M. Strange's Heartstring Marionette. It's simply to acknowledge that analysis of such work is marginalized within the wider community of animation fans who tend to focus on big ticket releases such as The Bad Guys and children's programming such as The Owl House. Who can necessarily blame them for the latter when only one major programming block, Cartoon Network's Adult Swim, is dedicated to consistently putting out adult animation. And so this leads to a strange effect where animation fans in Western countries defend animation as being not just for children, while almost exclusively focusing their analysis on properties not intended for adults. You don't tend to see many analyses of, for example, the Congress in the animation channels that are popular. So while people may intellectually disparage the association of animation with childishness, they do on some level uphold it and subconsciously believe it, which is evidenced by the channels that are made popular within that niche. Even within the fairly limited discourse around Western adult animation, there are far more interesting conversations to be had. The observation that comedy dominates the sphere of such media and that such comedy is often reliant on the vulgar has an element of truth to it. However, this is where the conversation often ends, and it is often accompanied by an undercurrent of disgust at said vulgarity. There is a desire for a return to the restraint of children's programming, and so an association is made between aesthetic restraint / absence of vulgarity and maturity. We cannot make such assumptions, however. Would River of Fundament be half as powerful without the scene of Ptah Nem Hotep explaining the sacred nature of the feces he uses to fertilize a garden? Would Southland Tales be half as absurd without the scene of two SUVs having sex? Would the eroticism of Bataille be half as beautiful without the piss, rape, and insanity? Even in something as aesthetically mediocre as Family Guy, there are more interesting conversations to be had. For example, I would argue that at times it is morally indistinguishable to that which it is ostensibly satirizing, the joke being less that the naive falsehoods of the family sitcom are being met with reality or exaggerated, but more that the same conclusion is reached with more blood, conflict, and/or insults directed toward the popular culture it and its subject of critique inhabit. In the hands of a more canny auteur than McFarlane, I think this would have potential to be interesting. The show takes place in a shifting landscape where the very mechanics of the world can change from scene to scene, as well as episode to episode. In Farmer Guy, Fox pays for Peter Griffin to buy a farm, and yet this seemingly infinite well of money is not mentioned when financial troubles threaten to relieve the Griffins of possession of the land. In Meg Stinks, Peter funds his adventures by robbing banks. The show thus constantly reinvents the basis of its reality, presenting conflicting accounts not just of minor details, but of things crucial to the functioning of the show as it is. The show also displays a kind of moral hypocrisy or schmaltziness at certain points. Life of Brian glosses over the flaws of Brian Griffin as a character. Another episode has inspirational music play as Joe Swanson condemns a police officer for harassing our heroes, while admitting that he himself knows of and has used the tricks the offending policeman utilized. And the characters can act like children, but still have their rather trivial moral revelations treated with utmost seriousness. The show straddles the line between intellectual childishness manifesting in incuriosity and smugness, and the reality it presents, an ugly consumerist America filled with flawed individuals who regularly partake in ruthless acts for their own amusement. It similarly critiques and excuses its characters in equal measure, making the critiques feel utterly toothless. How much more interesting would Family Guy be if it had more awareness of the central hypocrisy at the core of its presentation, and so had more of a Brechtian edge? The dissonance would be intentional so as to awaken people to the ugliness of the narrative being satirized, e.g. the American nuclear family believing itself to be encroached upon by evil, while itself being an originator of such moral decay. Farmer Guy would be an example of such a message, but the episode does not delve enough into the negative consequences of the Griffins' action to truly utilize the dissonance between the glib presentation and dark subject matter as an aesthetic/critical tool. The family victimizes rural America through contributing to the drug trade, but remains psychologically unscarred and escapes scot-free. This is a good starting point, but their invulnerability is taken as a given, and one is still expected to empathize. Instead, it simply reproduces these narratives. The shifting landscape would also serve the aesthetic purpose of promoting alienation, preventing traditional narrative investment. Or inversely, the constant cheating and violence could still be exaggerated, but it could carry a kind of psychological weight. This would make the show a black comedy that nonetheless invites people to laugh at that which one would not normally laugh at, proving that despair and laughter can coexist, just as horror filmmakers often prove that ridiculousness and the grotesque interrelate. Both of these, however, would risk alienating people, and so Family Guy at once seeks to disturb but pulls its punches. It is too disturbing for the prudes, and yet it is too blunt and idiotic in its handling of critique. Its only appeal is to individuals who accept its normie-friendly worldview and sense of contempt toward that which is different. It's not so much a cynical show as a gleeful attack on the segments of society its writing team despises. It has no room for sadness or complexity, and so cannot rise to the level of soul-crushing. Even this basic aesthetic/formal critique, which is certainly not inarguable, is beyond the level of most Family Guy discourse. Rarely do people talk about what the show does and how. Instead, focuses on poor technical quality or poor messaging. What are the origins of these symptoms? Why is the messaging consistently poor? How does the poor technical quality clash with the ambitions of the program? While professional critics can and do think about these things and do often praise great adult works, young people tend to listen to internet critics over professional ones. The corporate stranglehold over animation leads to a lack of distinct filmic auteurs. These are replaced by showrunners beholden to greater deadlines, collaboration, and restrictions. Television is a fundamentally commercial medium, and the few good television shows are often held back by the nature of being on television. Something like Lone Star's cancellation 2 episodes into its run wouldn't have been possible in the filmic medium. Either the film would be made or it wouldn't. The problem with television isn't simply the commercialism, but the low expectations of the audience and the sheer volume of output. Each show demands far more time than a film, and there are many of them. Fundamentally, pioneers like Norman McLaren are praised because they used abstract animation to focus purely on the elements exclusive to the medium. However, few Western shows are truly taking advantage of the expressiveness and abstraction inherent to animation. This is enforced by those who are enraged by characters being off-model. It seems that exaggeration can only ever be used in service of humor in the minds of most people. This hamstrings attempts at dramatic animation, marrying it to a sense of aesthetic stability. If I wanted consistent proportions in a series-long dedication to one mode of representation, a literal landscape never broadening out to the symbolic/a-signifying elements, I would have watched a down-to-earth dramatic film. That is to say, Western animation is in this awkward space between representation of the external world of physicality and the internal world of myth, dreams, and symbology. While films often shift between the two registers and confuse the distinction between the two, Western animations seems by comparison far too concerned with entertaining the viewer. This explains the community's relative immaturity, aversion to complexity, and dedication to logical consistency / the rules of entertainment. Video games are similarly an ailing medium, but its sickness is a deeper spiritual ill than the Western animation industry that still produces masterpieces such as Alan Gregory, Xavier Renegade Angel, and Pipudo and the Super Fuck Friends. BoJack Horseman may have been a decent dramatic show, which was unique in that it broached a couple of philosophical ideas in the most obvious way imaginable, but in a healthy culture, shows such as BoJack Horseman would be seen as the middle-brow entertainment that they are, and they would be produced with more regularity, a populist work that still provoked thought and occasionally experimented in regards to aesthetic, not enough to present the liveliness of a mind / spirituality, or to avoid falling into thought-terminating visual cliche, but enough to register as a unique object rather than infinitesimal variations on the same vapid concept. Something to hopefully be seen as the bare minimum. Licorice Pizza is a far superior work by a far superior artist, which is not only truer to life and more absent of obvious judgment, more of an object apart from the petty bourgeois morality of the destitute internet critic, but simply more aesthetically impressive. Nonetheless, I'd argue it inhabits the same category of works celebrated to the degree that they are because of an artistic drought. Comedies such as Licorice Pizza should be made with regularity, not be recognized as a breath of fresh air. The episodic structure and the metaphor of the cars being stuck in jams due to an oil shortage and the youth moving around freely via their bicycles both convey the seeming invulnerability of youth and the freedom it brings as the adults are brought to a standstill because of a wider physical structure they are forced / encouraged to participate in, traveling by car to get to work and other such adult obligations, and a political circumstance beyond their control. The youth, by contrast, are free from the impact of such things and are not constricted in regards to thought patterns or what they can do with their lives. The reaction to the scene featuring the mockery of the Japanese woman was rather baffling, as she did fight against her husband's approval of racist branding in her own way and then eventually left him. Beyond having her turn to the camera and give a lecture about the evils of racism, or an even more horrifying possibility, give out a Sorkin-esque verbal undressing to the man, there could not have been a more unsubtle jab at the man's foolishness, and she had as much agency within the situation as realism would allow. Perhaps the outrage was at the man's racism being depicted as folly rather than maliciousness. Exoticization and fetishization of the Asian female was more acceptable at the time. This is undeniable. Critics thus became allergic to the truth delivered through American, typically unsubtle humor. The light-hearted nature of the film, combined with its aesthetic virtuosity, likely confused critics. This is a common impulse of Anderson's, from the casting of Sandler in Punch Drunk Love to the creation of Couch, also featuring Sandler. Couch is a typical Sandler fart gag, filmed in a similar manner. It's filmed in a manner that evokes the serious cinema Anderson is known for. On its own, the joke would be an insult to the intelligence of the viewer. It is elevated in this case by Sandler's performance and the frivolous subject matter being given such undue import. This form is decoupled from its association with seriousness, and yet knowledge of such an association is also a key part of why the joke works. The problem with video games is that games operate in the territory beyond language. Language, art, creation, and love all exist in systems without explicit win-lose conditions. They are objects interacted with for the sake of it. When I showed the beginner's guide to someone who was not particularly familiar with video games, I remember arguing to them that the character of Coda's philosophy of not making games the player is intended to beat was silly, as whether or something had a concrete win state was irrelevant to whether it could convey an impactful message. This person then created a piece of naive theory, that is to say, theory not informed by academic discourse or engagement with the respective art form. I am the last person to make not having played many video games an insult of some kind. As soon as a game became something to win, it ceased to be art. I now am far more sympathetic to that position than I was. What is something that is entirely unique and inherent to a video game? I have answered this elsewhere, but I shall state it again. Digital architecture. One may respond that this answer is a little silly, as there are such things as combo meters and points that are also unique properties of a video game. Be that as it may, I am looking at this question from the perspective that the win-lose condition is not an inherent quality of a video game. We need to go beyond the systems that form the basis of interaction and toward that which absolutely cannot be removed, the equivalent of the image to film. If we accept this, then contrary to popular belief, the much maligned walking simulator is in fact the purest form of interactive art. A good example of an effect that can only be achieved within the realm of digital architecture is the Catacombs of Solaris. While the interactivity of video games cedes control to the player, allowing them control of the pacing and plot, and thus making them co-authors, the fundamental mistake of making a gamer your co-author, when you strip interactivity back to the level of a walking simulator, the player is disempowered and confined by his environment. Strip away narrative, something imposed onto a video game through voiceover and cutscenes, and you have nothing for the player to interfere with the pacing of. The unique artistic potential of software lies in disempowerment within unique space. Catacombs of Solaris places you within an environment of many colors, with the innovation being that the environment can transform as you walk around based on your perception. That is, waving your view from side to side, looking up or walking backwards can change the layout of the map in a seamless manner, the previous view becoming embedded into the walls of this maze. Getting lost in a particular color and wandering around, desperately searching for a multicolored tunnel bring you back to where one can resume searching for and creating new patterns is reminiscent of finding your way back to a normal thought process after losing one's mental bearings. The flux the maze finds itself in, it also recalls the constant motion of the mind's boundaries, the effort in trying to find a solution to a miasmatic issue. The lack of control over the visuals, the confusing nature of the changes made to the landscape, and the absence of any concrete end goal prevent Catacombs from being a tool through which collaboration with the machine is an outlet for human creativity. Here you are at the mercy of the machine, but of ultimate freedom to explore the landscape created. A pure ludic reality is created, and the main issue with video gaming culture is that it does not realize the supremacy of digital architecture over narrative. Complex and hostile systems being imposed onto this space could perhaps lead to a more artistic form of the traditional video game. However, it would need to be inscrutable enough so that data miners or repeat players couldn't pass knowledge onto future players. There would need to be a non-deterministic element so as to never be pinned down to something that can be defeated with this or that strategy. Only when a video game becomes an object to be interacted with for its own sake, absent of win-lose conditions, cut loose from its lineage and disowning the ancestors, i.e. traditional games such as football, can it begin to achieve artistic heights. Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop games in general are in the category of tool. A D&D starter pack is not a work of art, but a campaign, particularly a record of a campaign, absolutely is. I am theoretically in favor of anything being anything, rather that any tone can be used to approach any subject. Elitism is a nonsensical pejorative, as the state of elitism is unavoidable. Inverting the common hierarchy and claiming vulgar works to be of more worth than those traditionally praised by critics is patently not so much a subversion of elitism as a dishonest application of it. Why is comedy somehow seen as exempt from aesthetic, moral, and philosophical coherency / potency? It seems that every other genre must present a well thought out thesis with curious symmetries born of negation, but comedy is seen purely in the realms of the technical rather than the aesthetic. Comedy in popular criticism is reduced to a machine for laughter rather than a genre that can stand among its peers. Now, I'm not advocating for a universal turn toward the dramedy, a form that is similarly disfigured in our modern times. It contains the worst of both worlds, and that the drama acts as an excuse for the jokes to be subpar, and the comedy gets in the way of the dramatic aspect's interrogation of a particular question. The key issue is the delineation of the comedy and the drama into separate wholes forced to exist together. The shift between comedy and drama is neither sharp enough to jarring, conveying the essential truth that the reality does not stick to a consistent tone, and so upsetting the arrogance of both protagonist and audience. Consistent tone is rather a consistent drone. How odd that critics demand the musician to only play the white keys, or integrated sufficiently to convey a sense of ambiguity / realism. So what we have is a genre that is dedicated to cheapening the real. Before I talk of tone, it must be noted that people's intuitions regarding realism are a psychotic projection. Strindberg correctly noted the instability and contradictory nature of his desire in his essay Character, a Role, the war within the individual, and the constant stream of lies circling back to its origin. He notes that people cannot be classified, and that even the apparently dull individual has deep psychological complexities operating within the shell. Every person is a character. No character can be classified. However, within that is the arrogance of the voyeur. The individual observes from the exterior. They possess different desiring machines. They are not keenly aware of their machinery, and yet the body is not a miracle. It is perhaps a sickening thing to see an elderly individual coo with glee at seeing their feet. The rich have no taste, and one can see that in how they name their brands of chocolate cake. And yet, such a sickening individual can understand the nature of what is better than the individual who, according to principles plucked from the spare oxygen around them, construct rationales for another's behavior. Every individual is a miniature kangaroo court. That is the true sickening thing, however off-putting the sight of an individual optimistic about their own body may be. With something like 9/11, the reverence justifies itself in relation to the thriller format. The thriller format relies on suspense, and suspense on its own is the absence of content. It is merely the triggering of the impulse to know even the most insignificant detail in the mind of the observer. In other words, to become a hungry ghost and never have your stomach full. And so, while everything is the chugging of machinery, suspense is nakedly and obviously so. It is, coupled with nothing else, the celebration of that which is base in man. Far more upsetting to me than those who earnestly condescend during an argument are those who, while alone, cross their arms and consider themselves the victor. A 9/11 thriller would be trapped in a format unsuited to the content, as the only message it could convey and remain a thriller would be that of nationalism, raising evil, or even the implication that the disaster could have been stopped. It couldn't, and it wasn't. So evidently not every subject can be matched with every tone. This is likely self-evident to most people reading this. However, the Holocaust comedy is something I think can exist. Jojo Rabbit existed as a Holocaust comedy by never addressing the matter directly. The genocide existed in the background, and the absurdities of what the Nazis saw themselves as defending were brought to the forefront in a rather basic manner that could be mapped onto prejudice as a whole due to the unfortunate decision by Taika Waititi to not research Hitler out of some misguided spite. This was overall to its benefit, as the distance at the core of its comedy was achieved well enough by its setting and iconography. There would not be many laughs to mine out of the experiments, the torture, and the mass burning of corpses, at least not with Waititi's typical mode of comedy. The Great Dictator was in a similar vein to Jojo Rabbit, but The Great Dictator is rightly seen as more of a Nazi comedy than a Holocaust comedy, due to it being made without knowledge of the event. Despite the similarity in content and focus, such knowledge makes Jojo Rabbit a Holocaust comedy in the eyes of the viewers. This is regardless of the few jokes specifically pertaining to the event itself. It can also be seen as a counterpoint to Salah or 120 Days of Sodom, as Nazi society in decline is seen as buffoonish and delusional, keeping the realities of its loss at bay with myths of its supremacy rather than decadent and aware of its impending death. The Nazis of Jojo Rabbit are children rather than amoral libertines. We must become a rhizomatic, deeply contradictory union of elitists. Only then can we ensure an elitism for everyone. Let every child be educated on religion, myth, and the foundational works. Or perhaps not. We cannot let optimism win. The critical establishment disparaging Southland Tales is not a sign of elitism so much as a lack of it. The critics were simply not elite enough. They did not catch on to the film's aesthetic aims, and so demonstrated their Philistinism. Every day, you and I demonstrate similar vices, but rarely is such widespread Philistinism enforced. However, I am perhaps too much of an optimist to be a true elitist. I like too many things. Indeed, it seems as if everything is pregnant with the godliness of its creator. Simply put, the low aesthetic standards people are exhibiting are a cancer eating at criticism. But more than that, people are wasting their time staring at that which they consider beneath them. Imagine a film screening where people are encouraged to throw spoons at the screen and yell catchphrases. I've described certain screenings of The Room. No work of art deserves such a thing. Regardless of quality, people go to such screenings to laugh at something they cannot perceive, to validate themselves as being above the room and its creator. The Mona Lisa, on the other hand, absolutely deserved to be defaced. The cake only made the image more beautiful. And it introduced an interruption. It allowed one to consider the image, which had previously become a void of meaning. The commercial fuck had become a genuine work. Let all the paintings in the Louvre be similarly defaced. Let children scribble over a masterpiece in crayon. Only then will it be a worthy image. People like Rand and Rothbard believe the working class are not interested in art or politics because they have bought into the belief that capitalism represents desire rather than formatting it. They think the masses, when introduced to their false freedom, naturally fit into the category of simply caring about a narrow set of interests. Only when a kind of elitism for everyone is established can the people be elevated. A Holocaust comedy can only ever be a dark one in the vein of Jam, the ugliness and pain being juxtaposed with the ridiculous extremes perpetrators went in order to harm their victims. To prevent the whole exercise becoming a series of funhouse mirrors, for those who catch a quick thrill from crying at the suffering of others, the jokes could be followed by that which is not amusing at all. However, too many works are tailored so as not to allow the psychopaths and deviants to enjoy them. These people then ascribe their sick perversions to the average tragedy. That which does not moralize or editorialize is now seen as a roller coaster ride. And so they walk among us as eunuchs and are surprised at those with intact genitals. When all sex is rape, the existence of the implement is an aberration. I feel TV tropes miss the point of the Ghost and Molly McGee the Ghost and Molly McGee episode, The Don't Gooder. The message is simple. Doing good is hard and thankless, but should still be done. It acknowledges the comedic hypocrisy of the teacher in saying that charity is not a competition, but then proceeding to set up a charity competition nonetheless. This, coupled with the lack of recognition Molly receives for her good deeds, causes the website to dub her unintentionally sympathetic. The fact is that while it is a contradiction, what the teacher says is still true, and it leads to an unconscious truth on its part, that the system and morality can often contradict one another, perhaps especially in the system's attempt to enforce morality, especially due to the popular conception of altruism that is based around having no selfish motives. Such a system is thus upheld through the cognitive dissonance of the workers within it, as they themselves are not powerful enough to change it. Molly wanting recognition is her relying on the system to recognize her, while not realizing that such praise is hollow, and having too much faith in the system to be just, which is the character flaw, which is a character flaw. Sorry about that. Which is very in character for her. To remedy this aspect would be to remove the episode's moral core. Even something as seemingly basic as an episode of children's television conveys fundamental truths through accepting the principle that life is not fair. When one sees good and bad things happening to characters as the author meting out their own brand of justice, this leads to conflict with this principle being reflected in art. Even in an idealistic work such as Molly McGee, the hero reckons with the uncaring nature of their reality because the show can then inform the viewer that moral uprightness is valuable in the face of such absurdity. Without the absurdity, there's nothing for the uprightness to be defined against. And so it is as if the concept of blindness has been wiped from our minds, and we are having trouble defining what it is to see. A trope of theirs, known as darkness-induced audience apathy, has been renamed to too bleak stopped caring. This reframing is crucial. Rather than something the work induces, as in the former title, the latter title places agency within the observer. They have stopped caring because they have deemed it too bleak. How often do we hear people cry for the death of fictional characters they find annoying? Why is this? They would likely not enjoy seeing those individuals butchered, and yet they seem confident in claiming that being annoying is worthy of death. When people are too miserable or annoying or a bit of a con artist, it seems that most audience members have death in their minds, but then are depressed when such a death occurs. People should make up their minds. There is a callousness within the optimistic viewer, in that those who are not moral or even simply annoying to the viewer are worthy of non-existence. The world seems eager to morally appraise characters and assign appropriate fates, but there is no appropriate fate. Only the great god of chance can alter fate, and he is entirely inconsistent in his beliefs. In conclusion, a Holocaust comedy could be a great thing, for art should be less than praxis. Deleuze and Guattari bring up the schizophrenic carving a table, complicating the shape of the table until there was no more space. A table could not be used as a table due to its unconventional shape. Instead, there was a quality of isness. This is what I mean by an object, something that, much like a radiator or a stone, exists apart from desire. The table carved by the schizophrenic is a direct manifestation of desire, however. It is a desire unintelligible to most, though, and the auteur's desire is a rebellion against function, much like the schizophrenic impulse. The object may be apart from the auteur, but only in that the audience determines its purpose. Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. Irreducibility allows for the object to retain an isness that even when a work has been compartmentalized via interpretation. The last politic that remains is the ludic one, where the beautiful synthesis of symbols is above everything. We feel that we are lurching toward the end of humanity's empire. But the more depressing conclusion is that we shall continue, and our children will lead unrecognizable lives while sitting on a higher quantity of corpses than usual. The ludic reality, art is a game to people, and a game has win-lose conditions.
Holy shit. That as
Jesus.
usual, that was like incredibly lucid. There's so much in there. I especially like, I know it was only a small part of the greater like tapestry of the whole, but your discussion of gaming was really interesting to me. And you had multiple moments there where it's like, yeah, yes, like the idea that like a tabletop rule set is a tool, not a piece of art, is I think really interesting and important insight, given like as someone who like spent time in the indie gaming space, right? The indie game design space, they're very often was this desire to have the game piece be a piece of art in and of itself, with very little like consideration for like providing a tool that the players could actually use to create art. But above and beyond that, like what you're talking, I really loved what you were talking about in your discussion of video games and the way constraints function, because like I'm eternally frustrated by narrative in video games, by the desire of video games to emulate film, right? When it's like, no, that's not your medium. Like, and you really get at it here, the idea of like what makes gaming an artistic medium, right? It's not the things that it can use to imitate other mediums, but rather like the act of play itself and how the act of play is constrained by the designer, right? And that I thought was really insightful. And everything like about the nature of comedy and the nature of, you know, and your discussion of like the dramedy and how often like the Ally McBeal style dramedy or whatever is like a failure at both being a comedy and a drama. Like the comedy elements undermine the drama, and the dramatic elements can never take flight because the comedy is so like so ineffective. I thought, I don't know, that seemed really on point. Although I have to ask, have you seen Succession, which I think is a real example of like the dramedy being done right?
I've never seen Succession. No.
You should sit down with Succession. It takes a little while to get going. The first season is not perfect. It takes a little while to find its groove and to kind of be more than like be more than like a prestige series where people happen to like be insulting each other all the time, right? But it really finds itself as it goes along, and it really, I think, is exactly the kind of like more ideal sort of dramedy that you were describing, where like the comedy serves to like accentuate the drama, serves to make the drama more intense, and serves to make the dramatic themes more emotionally resonant and effective. But anyway, this is a really great fucking essay. I really dug it.
Yo, how long did it take you to make that? That was just fucking long. It was really good though.
I don't know, like maybe it's like 3 days. I don't know, man.
Jesus. Oh, it took me like a month.
Yeah, that was really good. Gianluca, I really like the video game part and the assertions you make there. There's a line in there: the unique artistic potential of software lies in disempowerment within a unique space. That's a really good assertion. It's brilliant. But actually, the way you wrap it, like, I actually don't think it's in conflict with the other assertion that you make there, which is the win condition thing. I don't think that disempowerment is in any way in conflict with like having a win condition or having video games have win conditions, because there's something else you mentioned in there, which is the idea of like the player, the player is basically a randomizer, insofar as the player can create that sense of disempowerment for either other players if you're talking about a multiplayer game, or for even themselves if you're talking about like a game somebody's trying to play against the game or play it in a certain way, I guess. But it's just like some of the stuff you mentioned there, like the walking simulator thing, was really powerful shit. That was really good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
And when you again, like when you started talking about the gaming part, like I was so hopeful, but like holding on, because often like people will start to talk about video games and it'll like be interesting, and then it'll like veer off whatever like line or tightrope it was walking, and like kind of just fall back onto a cliche or do some kind of weird quasi moralizing, or just like follow what they were setting up, but somehow it doesn't hit the mark. And I was just like so afraid that it was going to start doing that, and it didn't. And instead it was like very insightful. And the part about about like software architecture and randomization. It was like just, you know, I basically I downloaded it to read it again later, but it was,
Very
I
much.
just thought that was really striking, you know.
So, Gianluca, before I forget, while you were reading, Gabriel and I were having a little brief conversation in DMs, and you should really consider pitching a piece to us over at the Last Estate. I think that you could write or some really. I think that we would really benefit from like one of your cultural criticism pieces. But maybe we can talk about that later. Maybe shoot me.
Do one about video games.
Do one of yeah about
I'll help
gaming.
you even. I'll help.
That would be fantastic. You should DM Rudy, and you two should go back and forth because I think you have a really fucking unique voice that's unlike any other kind of cultural criticism out there. And I think it'd be fantastic to have a piece by you up Last Estate. So Christine,
What's up, Will?
you have a piece. You have to go in 5 minutes. You have a piece you want to share. So I'm gonna
Yeah, it's less
I'm
than
gonna
a
give
minute,
you
man.
I'm gonna give you the floor.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so Michael, that was just talking a minute ago, inspired me to do this. So, yeah, I'm gonna go. It's about gayness. So Daniel knows a lot about it, and he told me about it in the DM. So, all right, let me just go real quick. I like it fast. I like it right in my ass. I like it right after I cut the grass. Because I'm sweaty, I don't like them girls named Betty. I like men named Carlton. I like it when they black, because I got it on my back. I like it when I lift up their sack and lift up their ass crack. I don't play those games. I don't like them girls. I like it when them boys rock my world.
Christine, you have, I think, a real
Hell
future
yeah.
in poetry ahead of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you. All right.
Amazing. I believe you're the first Zoom troll who's come and read here. I think.
Mm.
You were
Yeah,
very
man.
brave.
Yeah, thank you guys, man. I gotta go, but my intentions were just to Zoom bomb and mess with you guys tonight, but I actually really had a lot of fun listening to your stuff, man. Really good job, Angus.
Oh,
You
all
gotta,
right.
you gotta
Thank you,
come back
man.
with more poems.
Come back next week. We do this every week. Okay.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right, we'll see you guys later, man.
Yeah.
Take
See you,
it easy.
man.
Yeah.
So,
I knew that was gonna happen. I knew we were gonna get Zoom trolls who would want to stay.
oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Okay.
It was gonna happen one day.
It took
Well,
almost
no,
2 years, but we finally bagged one.
Right?
Well, no, we've had ones that like stay and listen, but never one that read. So
Certainly never one who who wrote a poem while we were going.
This is education. How many inner city teachers can do this? Like
Fuck
literally, how many?
yeah, right.
How many? I mean, come on.
But like we are giving more kids the love of literature than these teachers are. These fucking stop like enough like forcing kids to read the Scarlet Letter or whatever. Just let them attend Misery Loves
Fuck
Company, and we'll probably be sued.
You know, it's the logo change for June. I think like really told people like, you know,
it's so
Wizard
good.
Tourism is
We're
here.
open
It's
and
here for the
exclusive.
community.
That may have made the difference.
What if he's a glowy playing the long game though? You know?
Oh
Like,
man, that's
first
true,
step
man.
is you pretend to be an adversary and then
Yep.
you pretend to join. And then, 3 years later, me and my boy Rudy get handcuffs coming out of with the
Fuck
fucking
yeah.
hoodies over our heads.
But you know what? They glow in the dark though, so it don't matter. We'll run them over with our cars. Fucking CIA niggers. I mean, what are you gonna do? I kind of.
All right, okay, okay. All right, holy shit. Like, I wonder if this one's gonna stay up on YouTube. All right, Keko, are you awake now?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi. I missed you guys, and I'll read just one poem.
We missed you too, man.
I'll read one poem. I'll put it in the chat. Just a moment. So I wrote this a couple of weeks ago, but I still haven't had time to revise it. So we'll see if there'll be any changes. It's called Lines About Times That Pass Me By. Before I write a poem, I leave my wife. She's far too depressed to get this high, to follow barley and daisies. Impossible, because I don't know what's daisies and how does barley look like before it's shaped into yummy forms and stuff. I sneezed, I farted, the former happened around the third verse, while the latter just now. In the former and the time surrounding it, when people were young and they were literally able to see better and hear more, which is the reason youth is often disgusted and sometimes blinded, stunned into retardation. I forgot how to write. Yet I sneezed an orgasmic sneeze. I came virally. I forgot my motives because I can't follow, remember, or whatever you do with daisies. Who thinks he's still able to be swayed by neon? Who's the guy who should be damaged permanently by stuff that might be dangerous to use against someone in an overtly aggressive situation? Do you feel academic? Fun fact, Škoda in Czech means Google it. It's not really funny since you were already on the internet. Does your heart go kokoro when you hear Meiko Kaji? Hako Yamasaki? I don't remember Ječam nor Tratinčice. Neon Nights disappointed my kokoro while I was still able to sneeze through my dick while riding on a bus. Amnesia and haze on both the asphalt and the trees. The boulevard, drivers, horsemen, elephant riders. I could perhaps recall Tumblr nudes, deflorating, gentle JPEGs who undress slowly at the shirt. They're 18 and should get this over with. I could remember the design Mozilla had back then, Gmail in 2004. Agile digital age, oh agile digital age. You make my heart go kokoro, kokoro. How many pussies have you retired? How many designs you've suffered? I love a creative and provocative quirkiness. It's agile, let's go. This version will receive an update if readers sneeze enough slime in the comment section. I will close the tab per like. My wife will structure this into a poem if you share it 1982 times. None of us will remember a thought that lasts longer than a page, and no smell will survive a week. That's it.
That was epic in every sense of the term. So Keko, I've talked before about like your like breadth, I guess, like as a poet. But what's really interesting in this poem is that you're displaying it all within the confines of one poem, right? Like you often have a real tendency to shift tone and style from poem to poem, which I find like really remarkable. But here you're shifting tone, you're shifting style, you're shifting subject matter within this one poem, and you're doing it in this really elegant way, especially like by the end, you've tied back to the beginning, but it's gone through this real evolution from starting in a place that's almost a little traditional, right? And then you like get into the internet stuff, which I've always said, like, you're a really fantastic a fantastic poet of the internet. But then you get that really deconstructive stanza that's like, you know, oh man, and then you're back to the wife by the end, and it's just, there's an entire arc here that I think is wonderful.
Thanks, William.
Yeah, it's a great piece. How are you doing though?
I'm doing fine. I have a lot of work because as a laborer who isn't really a professional laborer, it's very difficult, but it's interesting. I've dug up a lot of bones in the cathedral, so it's It's fun.
That's
Whose were
fucking
they?
Wild.
Well,
Do
we
you
don't
know?
know. Hopefully not any children, but I think some bishops and everything, because it's a very old as it's a very old place. We came even we found a Roman road before below the cathedral, and it can be, it's like some bones are medieval, some are Roman, some there are supposedly some Celtic bones even there, but I don't know.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
That's pretty
Is
crazy.
this like, oh, sorry, Rudy.
No, go ahead. I was just saying that's nuts. It's,
Yeah, it's fucking wild. So is this, what's the like end result here? Is this like an archaeological thing? Or are these bones going to be reburied somewhere else? Or what?
Well, I don't know. We put them in the bags, and then someone drives them away somewhere. And if you find very small bones, and they aren't really in any grave, I don't know. We call it flying bones. I don't know what would be the term in English. And then you just throw them away with dirt and rocks and everything. So it's
Wow.
because
Yeah.
there are just too many bones. You know, you keep I don't know, the pottery and stuff that you find.
have you found a lot of that? A lot of like goods, or like I guess grave goods or pottery, or
Well, yeah, so, like the stuff they're either buried with, or some stuff that was just like, I don't know, like trash sometimes.
yeah.
A long time ago, and someone like broke some pottery, and then you find the pieces and everything.
Holy shit, that's really cool.
Yeah, there are some really we found even some kind of, I don't know, like a marble something. I don't know what would that be, like two people holding hands in marble. It's very interesting.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's Roman. Someone like I don't know, they told me it's like 1st or 2nd century.
Nice. Yeah. Well, welcome back. Definitely, Keiko. It's good to have you
Yeah,
here.
it's,
And
I'm really glad to be back, but I just I used this time to come because I start they pick me up at 6 a.m., which is in 2 hours. So this was just a fun little experiment. I probably won't be able to make it until, let's say, mid-July or something like that again.
Well, it was awesome you could make it tonight. And yeah, good luck with that. You're definitely going to have some fucking stories to tell by mid-July, I think.
Yeah, well, I hope I'll be able to write something down. I really haven't had time lately to do any writing and to do anything because I still have a university degree that I have to pursue. So
wow,
it's the combination of those two. It's been kind of exhausting.
Well, it was awesome to see you tonight. Thank you, man.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous reading tonight because it's been a while and I don't have time to speak in English.
Right.
Except
no, I wouldn't have known. You know, you really, really brought it tonight.
Yeah.
And,
well, thanks.
No, thank you. And GG is up next.
Oh, GG.
Yeah, these will be really quick. Just 1 second. Let me get in a different room for my cat and just hop in the bathroom. I have a link somewhere here. There's that.
Oh, I think you need to give us permission.
Shit. Fucking yeah, it should be good now.
You're good.
All right. This will be like 30 seconds. All right. Chopsticks. Asian gals are better at hand jobs because of finger muscles developed using chopsticks. This is also why they are good at piano. This one's called Jesus, the only Jewish fellow we're encouraged to celebrate the death of. This one's called Victory. I wander into a fountain, remove a penny, mumble, now you know what it feels like, and eat the coin. That's all I got.
Gigi, these I'm gonna get in trouble if I comment on any of these, but the last one. Gigi, the first two poems here are so funny. The Jesus poem is one of the nastiest punchlines.
Yeah, that punchline.
That's been read here. And no, these are very funny. They're, as usual, Gigi, they're funny, they're sharp, they're witty, they're spectacular. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me read.
Mullane, do you have the Misery Tourism Pride logo as your background?
I might.
You might.
I might. What is?
Yeah.
Oh,
The
shit.
screen's not switching to me. I'm trying to yell loud.
13 made that. And I've been informed that 13 was just once again suspended on Twitter.
What?
What did they do?
Why?
So they changed their bio to something about not interested in threatening people with knives. And apparently,
Are you
having
kidding
not
me?
interested in
What?
threatening people with knives was enough to make the AI realize that this was the same knife boy who was banned for threatening people with
Oh,
knives.
wow. What?
So F to 13, the most canceled person in transgressive literature somehow. But yeah, so so I'm glad people are enjoying the Pride logo anyway. So Troy had a piece, and Troy's ready to roll. Okay.
Yeah, okay. You there?
Yeah, we hear you.
Hear you loud and clear.
Cool. All right. This is called Head Pills. I ran out of things to do one day, but walk. I'm always walking. Walked right into a barn. There was a horse in one of the stalls eating sludge from a bucket. I said, "Oh, hey, what's up, horse?" He just kept eating. I patted his head. He made a noise that sounded like ouch. I wriggled his ears with my fingers. He smiled at me. Somebody came out of nowhere and brushed him. I watched as they did this. They were gentle and he looked happy. I walked around the barn, looking, just looking, bored. Found a large knife hanging from one of the walls near a pile of hay. I started at the throat first. From there, I moved on to the belly. Don't get me wrong, opening bodies is also a boredom. Takes lots of time. I had no trouble fitting inside of him. I eased up his weight, no problem at all. Still kind of boring. But now I was doing something, right? Wasn't I doing something? People came. They fed me. They pet my ears. They brushed me. I took them for rides through beautiful mountains. I did tricks for them, jumping over poles and stuff. Beautiful women adored me. They rode me. They brushed me. They fed me. They applauded me at every turn. And they also bathed me. But ultimately, I was still bored. So one day I simply crawled out of my horse skin and went back home. All right, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Holy shit, Troy. There's so much emotion in that brief little piece. And you really like, your pieces have like a wonderful way at getting at like, I don't know how to say it, except at like getting at the sadness beneath violence, right? So often like violence in literature is strictly approached from like as a moral issue or as titillation or as like, you know what I'm saying, right? As like from this kind of sociopathic angle. But for you, like there's so much like sadness in the violence in your stories, like so much desperation. And this one really captures it in this really fascinating way, like that, just like the vacancy of it, right? I don't know. It's a fantastic, wonderfully concise little piece. Troy, thank you so much.
Thanks, William. Appreciate it.
And I think that's it for the night. Unless, does anyone, last call here, if anyone has a piece that they want to read, we can probably squeeze another one in. But if not, we'll probably call it. Looking at the chat. No, I think that's it. Okay, I think we're gonna call it for the night. I will leave this open for a little bit so people can hang out or whatever, but I think I'm gonna end the reading portion there. Yeah, thank you to everyone who's read tonight, everyone who's come and to give feedback or to just enjoy the works as well. And yeah, this has been Misery Loves Company. We do this every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Anyone's welcome to come and join us. We tweet out the link a few minutes beforehand from our Twitter account @MiseryTourism. And I guess that's it. Thank you again, everyone. This has been a fantastic set of readings. Thanks so much. All right, that's it. If I can figure out how to end this, here we go.